All right. Let's move ahead. German manufacturing represents the gold standard of quality, precision, and also reliability. Everyone in this room would agree to that. So now it's time to delve deeper into how innovation and sustainability keep it relevant and also dominant in a rapidly changing industrial landscape. Our next playoff is on German manufacturing, never failing, always strong. Video on that, please.
In every era of industry, one name has stood for reliability.
For precision, for strength that never falters.
This is the power of German manufacturing.
From engines that moved the world to renewable grids that will power tomorrow.
German engineering has redefined durability.
Never failing, always strong.
Today, this strength meets scale.
In a new corridor of collaboration with India.
Machines built with German precision, powered by India's manufacturing drive.
Building growth engines for the future.
From steel to silicon.
From auto to aerospace.
The world still looks to German manufacturing.
German manufacturing.
Built for the world.
The playoff begins.
All right, for this playoff, I would like to invite Mr. Thomas Fischer, Chairman of the Supervisory Board, Man Plus Hamel, Dr. Christian Fiebig, Partner Digital Advisory, MHP, and Mr. Matthias Lapp, CEO, Lapp Holding AG, here on stage. Our moderator for the playoff would be R. Sridharan. Sri, over to you.
Thank you, Sakshi. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this evening. I don't think anyone doubts the fact that Germany is an engineering powerhouse, a country of 84 million people. It's the third largest economy in the world. Your manufactured goods comprise 83% of your exports. So there's no doubt what Germany is capable of, or the kind of economy it's built on the strength of its engineering prowess. But Thomas, I want to start this conversation with you because I was reading your 2003 report to shareholders, which actually read almost like a manifesto to a larger German industry, where you say that this is the time to perform to transform to perform, you say. And there are multiple challenges which the industry is dealing with, and it's time to reimagine German engineering. So I'd like to start with asking you for an assessment of where do you think German manufacturing really stands today? What are the forces which is now it's confronting in terms of the challenges which is shaking its long-held dominance in the world of manufacturing and engineering exports?
Thank you. I think we are still the harbor of manufacturing. That has not gone away. But what is changing in today's world for us so much, first, the markets are outside. They are in India, in Southeast Asia, in Africa it's developing. And in the past, we have been able to export technology. And now we have to find the customer and get to solutions for the customer. And that is something where we have to listen better. In the past, this product we developed, that was selling by itself. But now to collaborate and to work together with other regions, that is so important. And therefore, India is for us one of our big transforming things, not only because we have a huge shared service center which serves our global world with the most intelligent people we can find, but India with so much cultural influences and being everywhere in the world as Indians, and things like this flow back. And if we get your ability to find solutions, then I heard today more often the word frugal engineering plus your creativity, then we can elevate German manufacturing to the next level.
Right. Before I go to the next question, I just want to make a point that, Thomas, unfortunately, we don't have the Best Dressed Man Award today, but if it ever won, it would certainly go to you. Congratulations on the lovely dress you're wearing.
Thank you, but here I have to celebrate our managing directors, Sudesh Karimbal. And by the way, our biggest business unit is run by an Indian lady, Hasmeet Kaur, and she's a real Kaur. And these two had the idea that...
It's a great idea. We love it. So, Matthias, coming to you, like Man and Hummel, yours is also a family-managed, family-owned business, a Mittelstand company. You went to India to set up factories back in the 1990s. What provoked that thought in the 1990s? And how has the thought changed over the years? Did you go in for the local market? And has it now changed to a point where you want to leverage India to export to other parts of the world? So just walk us quickly through the journey, the original rationale, and how has India evolved for you in your larger strategic alignment?
Yeah, thanks. First of all, thanks for having me here on the stage. As it is so often with family companies, it was a pure family decision. That means my grandmother and grandfather at that time liked India by traveling through it, and that's why they said, we need to do something here. So it was not the analysis done, this is where is economy best, what can we achieve? It was just a pure gut feel. And that's how we started our business in the 80s there, with then finally having our own entity and our own first production site in 1996 already. So we are long-term invested in India. The whole family is very fond of India, as you know.
Absolutely.
And at that time we started to grow the business. And that is something why we now have, for example, our Indian business being the second largest in the lab group. So
fantastic.
India has developed to the second largest country that we have in the portfolio, so to say. And that is something. And it developed over the years with 3 different production hubs now. The highest advanced technology that we have in the lab group. So we do compounding ourselves with our own designed formulations for the PVCs and polyurethanes only in India. And this is what we export. But the whole thought was always and is always for us as lab group that we go local for local. So we have 3 regions, and in the region Asia Pacific, India is the biggest country obviously, and we export only some of the compounds, few products, but 99-98% of the portfolio is meant for the local market. Additionally to that, our own R&D and product management and development that we have developed over the last years is such that 80% that we sell in the market of India is developed in India for India. So we don't have that product anywhere else in the world. And that is how we are at the moment. So it was meant as there's something nice to have. We need to be in India. We believe in India. It's not the fast tiger, but the slow elephant. But as we see now developing it, it's consistently developing in one direction. And we were having the chances to also profit on that.
Fantastic. Christian, you bring a consulting point of view to this discussion. One of the issues which the German industry is grappling with is that in its bid to decarbonize, the fear is maybe it has deindustrialized. How are the Mittelstand companies facing with this challenge as different from that of, let's say, the larger companies, the Siemenses, the Bosches, the Volkswagen? How are they doing? How do you see the Mittelstand companies preparing to remain competitive given all these constraints?
Yeah, thank you very much for this question. What I can see in the German Mittelstand as well in the family-owned companies, there's a lot of responsibility for the environment. So sustainability is a key issue for them. And coming to the supply chain management, sustainability is also, beside efficiency, cost efficiency, flexibility, responsiveness is also a key issue, and we have to work on that. And I think it's also a key success factor for factories. So this is what I see there. Coming back to the supply chain as its own, so supply chain excellence is a key factor for success in the future. And what is clear is that there's no one approach that fits for all companies. And uncertainty is the new normal, so we have to think in, let's say, in scenario, not only the most likely scenario, but also the other scenarios. And therefore, based on these scenarios, we have to develop the supply chain strategy, also including the sustainability. And what is important for that is that we have also the transparency about the supply chain. We have to, regarding decarbonization, the carbon footprint, but also with a real-time visibility to steer, control our supply chain much more better way we did before, let's say, the pandemic, where we have global supply chains, stable global supply chains. So now we have to be very responsive, intelligent, responsive to cope with.
Thomas, coming back to you, earlier in the day we had, Dr. Arvind Marni, who was talking about the need for German companies and other European companies to de-risk their exposure to China. He said it's not about decoupling, but it's about definitely diversifying your bets. From your perspective, how do you see the India exposure or the India investment playing out, let's say, over the next 5 to 10 years? What are your views on India's strategic importance in the larger scheme of things for MAN and Hummel?
First, I have to state that when you produce filters, you don't transport them very far. So we never have a problem to ring fencing some countries, because we are, like Matthias said, we are local for local. India will become for us one of our major hubs out of 3 reasons. One is your own industry develops very nicely, like we have seen before, in the defense, in the aircraft, whatever. So we want to serve this industry. The second thing where India becomes for us more and more important is you have a lot of connections to the other countries. And this we want to use and to ride on. If I look into Africa, east coast of Africa is in the hand of Indians for trade and other things. So your global presence could be an extremely good help for us. And last but not least, the way how you have a ton of talent, but extremely well-educated talent. And this young talent is hungry. What we miss to a certain extent in Germany, we are not hungry anymore. Not everybody, but a lot of spoiled kids are not so hungry like a young Indian kid. And to work with these talents to develop, especially in our world where we get more digital, more AI-driven, where we have to develop smart factories. By the way, we do it together with MHP too. But this kind of things is our third pillar. And so China at the moment is very important for us for the passenger car side. Here we don't see India growing in the next 5 years to be the competitor, maybe in 10 to 15 years. But on the digital side, on making factories intelligent, and to go in high-tech industries, plus the talent. That is where we see you.
Right. So, Matthias, what's true of filters is also true of cables, which is what Lab Group makes, although you make all the high-tech cables as well. How much of the innovation, it's a commodity. Cable is a commodity, unfortunately, at the end of the day. So how are you able to differentiate yourself? Because I was moderating a panel at the Indo-German Chamber of Commerce about a month ago, and where one of the CEOs said, in India, the consumer wants a 5-star product but a 3-star price. So is that something that your experience bears out as well, or is your experience different?
Yes, that's the typical Indian behavior. They want everything, but apparently it needs to be for free. And then they will buy a lot, right? So that's the manner. Also, price increases we do in every country, but somewhat in India, an annual price increase is not possible. So here it goes only one way down. But joke aside, I think that is something what, of course, is important. Yes, we try, as I said earlier, with our own innovation that we generate and foster and leverage in India, for India, to be on the tops of what is needed in the market. And of course, with that long experience we have in India, it is important to us that we know how the Indian market, how customers, how market behaviors, what is expected also. And that is what we try to address in the best way possible. And then we are surprised by service, not only by features and benefits, but by service and the whole surrounded. Also now, Indian companies, bigger Indian corporations that have outsides of India operations. We are a global player like Man and Hummel, and that is what we also tend to leverage to say then, hey, we are not only an Indian company or German company, we are a global company. So if you move to Eastern Africa, Middle East, that is where we focus on now with better ties here. We are here already for you, so leverage lab also on your way abroad, and that's what we follow.
Right. So, Christian, it's not just that the product is changing. Obviously, the product is changing from IC engines. We are going to EVs. There are newer technologies that are coming in. Germany was actually the pioneer when it comes to Factory 4.0, the Industry 4.0. From your perspective, how successful would you say German companies have been adopting the smart factory or the Industry 4.0 module?
Yes, I really appreciate that question, because it's a very crucial point for us. So we made progress, and we conduct yearly a study about Industry 4.0 barometer. It's called barometer, and yes, we made progress. But there are still obstacles like data silos and all the legacy systems. And so the responsible person for production, like let's say the chief operating officer, are looking for not only a small step, a small improvement. They're looking for a quantum leap or in terms of efficiency and flexibility. And yes, we are talking about smart factories. And yes, we see many factories called smart factories, but they are still, and they look very modern and very, very beautiful also, and with a high degree of automation. But there's still a lack of flexibility regarding all the infrastructure and the OT systems, the operations technology systems. So what is our approach as MHP is that we follow, we call it the software-defined manufacturing approach. What does it mean? We decouple the software from the hardware, the brain from the body. And by decoupling software from hardware, it becomes effortlessly possible and easy to plan, to configure, to monitor a factory. And I think, and we are convinced about that, and this approach is a great opportunity to achieve a really smart factory. And it's a little bit like operating your factory like a smartphone. A new feature with a click, a new application with a swipe. Sounds a little bit like a vision, but what we are doing with our clients, some of our clients, is that we realize this vision already. And so it's also a step, when we think ahead, it's also a step to a real dark factory.
Right. Now, Thomas, coming to you, what I find remarkable about the Mittelstand companies is that although they are largely, family-owned and even managed to a great extent, the innovation that they are able to come up with is surprisingly amazing. If I look at just Man and Hummel, for example, you have more than 4,700 patents, right? How critical will this ability to keep innovating be for your competitiveness going forward? And in that, how important role is India going to play, especially in the context of, let's say, the digital transformation, the GCCs, the innovations that are happening? So from an innovation perspective, how are you looking at India to maintain your global edge?
It's very interesting. We start redefining innovation or patents or whatever, because in the far it was technology driven. And now we have to come from the customer and say innovation is customer driven. And you mentioned it before, we still have in Germany a lot of legacy, which slows us down to overcome. And Mittelstand firms are better than the large ones because we still keep our values, but we somehow drop the legacy a little bit faster. But for me, India coming, and that is where your people are so great. You think far more, make a customer-oriented innovation, and it needs to be a business. And this kind of mindset, especially in a digital world, where to adopt AI solutions and maybe not be 100% perfect, but improve while you are going. These talents, that is something we need in Germany, and I really hope that we are good enough, or I'm not only hope, I'm fairly convinced we are good enough to adopt. Yes, we will have some difficult years to go through, and it was addressed today more often enough, if we combine these two capabilities, then we as a company, I cannot talk about Germany or Europe at the moment, or India, we as a company with all the talents of India and Germany will be better.
Fantastic. Matthias, a gentleman earlier today in one of the panels talked about how almost 30% of your workers will retire in the years ahead, which means there'll be need for creating digital twins, which is something which I'm sure MHP will want to elaborate later. But how are you coping with this shortage that is very visible and it's like going to probably get worse? Are you looking at getting more skilled workers from India, engineers from India? How are you approaching this issue?
Yeah, good question. I think that is what many companies, or all companies, have as a topic, the skilled labor shortage that we know will happen, and we knew already 10 years ago, but nothing happened. So now I always tend to say we don't have a knowledge problem. Also, what the governments have to do, it's an execution problem. And here for us is very clear that we take the talent where we find it, and what is new basically, we try to also make use of that talent regionally or globally if needed or possible. So if we find the right person for sales controller, I don't care anymore where the person sits. It doesn't need to be located in the headquarters. So if we find the appropriate person in Bangalore or wherever, in Delhi, if we have an office, the person should sit there but can work in a global international team. I think that is one thing. So we look for the talent where we can find the talent. And secondly is obviously also that we make use and try and push hard in order to get skilled laborers that we need here in our factory, for example, in Germany or in the surrounding of Stuttgart, to get then in close collaboration with India, skilled labor also from India, because we see here also that as explained earlier, the willingness to work is a much higher one, and that is what we are fun to really grasp, that we need people that have fun to work. And that's what, of course, some people lost over the last decade, let's call it, the motivation of the young generation.
Right. If I may add one thing, and the third thing, and I know you do this too, we look together with Indians engineering into robotics, because we do not only want to import Indians, but maybe we want to import Indian robots.
Fantastic. Christian, that's a challenge for companies if they have to make sure a global workforce works on the same page and delivers the quality that they expect back in Germany. How is technology helping companies, especially manufacturing companies, deal with this whole skill shortage, especially with the advent of AI and newer technologies of manufacturing? What is your point of view on that?
First of all, nothing should happen without AI in the future. And regarding the factories, then digitalization, robotics, as you mentioned, automation are the key to cope with this problem or with the situation. And as I mentioned before, software-defined manufacturing means that you can organize and plan and moderate the factory in, let's say, a software platform, and you don't need the technical guys, which are often already retired, and you have to bring them back. In some companies, are only the technical guys fly business class, so you don't have to bring them back. You can organize a factory with less people via software platform direct to the hardware. This is one way factories and the production responsibility can cope with this topic.
So I have two more questions before we run out of time. The first question would be around the disruption that we're facing in global supply chain. That obviously poses a lot of challenge, especially for companies that are dependent on multiple manufactured products, components that have to come from different markets. Maybe it's not a very big challenge for Man Hamel, I'm not sure. But speaking in general, Thomas, how do you see this global uncertainty impacting manufacturing itself, your ability to make decisions and do even capital allocation, like where should I set up my plant, where should I source my products from? How big a challenge is that going to be going forward?
It's challenging us too, and we don't want to go for reshoring. That is a decision we made because Europe will not be the growth base for the future. So we are focusing where our markets in the future, and if we get sources there, then we take this for our supply chain. That's the best. But nothing with our AI, as you said. I think overcoming what we had in the past, this disruption in the supply chain with good AI and more flexible production, and with a smart factory you go down to a lot size of 1, or we hope to get down to the lot size of 1. These two combined should help us to overcome these difficulties we had in the past.
Right. Matthias, your views on the disrupted supply chain globally?
Earlier I mentioned that we are set up in regions and very local by local. And this was already, in the first generation, the goal and plan. We have continued that in the second generation. I will continue in the third generation with my cousins to do that. So we have quite an okay location set up right now, but this will have to continue even further. So that is important. And then again, if there is something you can grasp, like knowledge that is generated in one region or country, because it's running great here, that is also with the use of AI or processes to copy fast and learn. And that's what we have to improve in Germany, because as you know, we are Germans, we are Southern Germans, we are Swabians even worse. We like to invent everything ourselves, and it is 120%, right? As we always tend to say. So we are not good at admitting that something else can be as good as ours. And that is something we can maybe also, we have to open up here a little bit.
I'll call that pride, so it's fine. The final question, if we were to look 10 to 15 years ahead down the road, what are the emerging industries where you think German companies, especially the Mittelstand companies, will be able to maintain or become global leaders again? There are a lot of new areas which are emerging, including green energy, EVs or different parts of the EV system, autonomous driving. There are so many different technologies which are there. Where do you see German companies being able to maintain their global edge 10 to 15 down the road? I'll want all three of you to answer. I'll start with Thomas first.
Besides what we have now, and I don't talk about automotive, in the future it will be mobility, and we will be able to find mobility solutions. But I firmly believe that in the pharmaceutical area, in the medical devices area, and in clean environment. If you only look in Baden-Württemberg, how much companies we have who are working on clean water, and companies like ours on clean air and whatever, that is a need which will not go away fast. And now I'm living in India, especially in Delhi or other places, there will be a long need where you need environmental support from German companies.
We need a lot of clean air, we need a lot of your stuff. By the way, when I was growing up, Purolator was a very big brand, so I think you've done a great job anyway of reaching us in India. Matthias, what are the areas that you think will be Germany's strength, global competitive edge that you can retain? Not speaking specifically of the lab group, but for German industry on the whole.
So I'd like to add to that, so there's already something said. I hope in the future, I don't know yet whether this becomes true, my wish is it is at least that we play a certain role in the automotive industry. Having said that, I think what we are very good is at factory automation and all that goes around it, with all the connectivity between the robot and the machine and all of that. Not maybe the software, but the hardware and the possibility to manufacture at scale. That is something I think we are very good at with our huge export volume. And that will remain. And then on the other side, the renewable energy, hopefully we have had a very strong foothold in the PV manufacturing, and as such we were front runners in that area. So maybe with the other possibilities you might have in new generation of power, let's call it, that could be something also where we have our footstep a little bit ahead of the rest of the countries.
Right. So Christian, last word to you. We're saying German manufacturing never failing, always strong. So 10 to 15 years, where do you think Germans will still be the world beaters? Like they'll have the best technology that the world can bet, and they'll have to come and shop from Germany?
Really good question. So, first of all, quality and innovation will remain non-negotiable for German industry. I hope we will, as a German industry, will focus on special sectors in industry, as you mentioned, not doing everything. So what is our focus is also a little bit from the political side interesting, but focusing on the future industry and then go back what makes us strong and what has made us strong in the past: engineering, innovation, talents, and flexibility, and at least we have to cooperate worldwide. Cooperation is also important for German industry.
Strategic alliances, and don't forget India, absolutely. So thank you, gentlemen, for a lovely discussion. A big round of applause for our panelists. Sakshi, back to you.
Thank you, Shri. Thank you so much for that lovely conversation, gentlemen. Please wait with me and please bear with me for a few more minutes as I invite Mr. Vikram now on stage, CEO of South TV9 Network, and also Ruben, please. And while the shawl felicitation is happening, ladies and gentlemen, let me again remind you all that we will be leaving from here at 7 p.m. to New Year's Schloss, and I will see you all there for the dinner at Newcastle. Those who have come by their own vehicles can drive by. Otherwise, there are buses outside as well that can take you to New Year's Schloss.